behind him, and he's just a very good running back. He's a 3-down back. He can block. He can run the ball. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. And he's doing a super job for us. But most importantly, that offensive line is opening up holes. I think our backup running back had 13 carries for like 70-something yards. I think both of those guys average right around 6 yards a carry. So really, is the work is being done up front in our offensive line. And, anytime those guys are running the ball the way they're running it, you got to give credit to the offensive line.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome, man.
Question goes to Mo Carter.
Hey, Coach, obviously this A&M team has basically turned things around after losing 4 straight. You've now won 3 straight. How important is this a win streak for your team, especially as you get ready to go into this bye week?
Oh, it's very important, Mo. We didn't get off to a good start, but we had a tough schedule. If you just look at our schedule, you know that we're playing 2 FBSs. We play a playoff team in Austin Peay, who I think probably right now maybe number 12 or 13 in the nation, and 2 FBS programs. So any normal HBCU probably gonna start off 0-3 right there, and then we got to go to FAMU, the first conference game, and play in Tallahassee, where it's so hard to win. And I thought we put up a violent effort. We just wanted to come out on the winning side. So we knew we had a good football team, and we was close. And so we was able to win the last 3 games. And we got to keep taking them one at a time, Mo. Keep ourselves giving ourselves a shot. And that's what we've been doing so far. So we're going this open week, try to heal up the bumps and bruises, get some stuff corrected, and see if we can't be a better team come time to play our next game in 2 weeks.
And just looking forward to the game following the bye. Obviously, it's the Magic City Classic, huge game for both Alabama A&M and Alabama State. You've now been a part of this rivalry for a number of years. Going from what you've seen that first year, kind of entering into it, to now or whatever, how would you assess the importance of the game and trying to get your players to understand what's going on leading up to it?
Yeah, I think everybody on their side and our side understands how important this game is and how big it is. It's a rivalry game, and it's the biggest rivalry game. It's the classic, not the classic. It's the classic. It's the classic, okay? And fortunately, we've been fortunate enough to win the last 4 ever since I've been here, and we want to keep that streak going, but we know it's going to be tough. Eddie Robinson is doing a great job in his first year as a head football coach with that program. He got that team playing hard. They only have 2 losses in the conference, and he's told his team they still got a chance. So they got to win out, and they need some help. And it's going to be a great football game. Me and Eddie got a great relationship already, man. We played in the region tradition golf tournament, the senior tournament together. We was on the same team there, and we had a great time. And we talk during the week. Sometimes we text each other. We have a great relationship, and I look forward to playing this game as I do every year. But now it's here, so you got to take care of the one before that. And now that game is here, and so that's the biggest game of the season, and it just happened to be the Classic. So everybody wants you to win the Classic here. Everybody there wants him to win the Classic. So one of them will get a W, and the other one have to wait till the next year.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the bye week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any final questions for Coach Maynor? All right, we'll take one last question, then we'll go to Brandon King.
Good morning, Coach. How you doing?
Good morning, Brandon. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. In 3 of your last 4 games, you ran for over 200 yards. Which also coincides with you winning 3 of your last 4 games. What can you say about the emergence of the running game and also about the big boys up front who are opening up the holes for your backs?
Well, Brandon, we always say the game's a wide up front, with the O-line and your D-line. And when you play out of conference, when you play up to FBS programs that got 85 scholarships, they're going to be better than you up front on both sides of the football. And you're not going to be able to run the ball on those guys effectively. And that's what happened to us basically the first 3 games or the first 2 games. That we couldn't run the ball because those guys were just bigger, faster, stronger. They bring in their second, third teams, and they just as good as our first teams. So we weren't able to run the ball and do what we wanted to do in those situations. And so now that we got back to FCS games, conference games, that we're on the same level, then now we're able to run the ball better. And that's really it, man. It's not rocket science. You know, people think they can reinvent the wheel, man. You can't reinvent the wheel. You know, play to your strength, defense, weakness. But now we're back on our level. We're being able to run the ball a little bit better than we were early in this football season.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate your time and have a great bye week.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
Coach Maynor, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andrew. You're doing a great job, man.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next up, we go to Montgomery, Alabama. We will be joined by head coach Eddie Robinson. I do see that we have Coach on with us.
Good morning. How's it going?
Hey, good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Everything's going well. Going well.
Coach, as always, we appreciate you taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
Yeah, we came back, played Mississippi Valley State at home. Of course, we didn't have that homecoming crowd like the week before, so we had to make sure that the kids were up and ready to play. They hadn't won a game, but of course, we know they weren't the typical, winless team. They came in here and played hard like we expected. I think their defensive line is just as good as any in the conference, so it was real big for our offensive line to protect the quarterback. First game, we didn't give up a sack, so that was really good, something we can hang our hat on. Miles Crawley stepped in for D. Davis and was able to throw 2 touchdowns and ended on a positive note. So I did a good job running the football. That's what we want to do, and then played good defense. Gave up 3 points and gave up a late touchdown, and just kind of shows, with Coach Dancy, the way you have those kids playing. I mean, they never quit, they never gave up. I mean, they were able to score with like under a minute, and just kept fighting the whole game. So it was one of those games you felt like you were in control of, but you felt like at any time it could go the other way on one special team play or one mistake. So definitely tip my hat to Coach and what he's doing over there. And even though it's not showing up as far as wins and losses, you can see the way those kids play for a whole 60 minutes. So, and I think everybody in the conference sees that also. So now we get to our bye week, and then of course the week after that, you guys were just talking about it with the Magic City Classic. So just making sure that the new guys understand the importance of the game. We have a lot of transfers, just like Coach Maynard. So just trying to get them to understand that this is a big week. It's the one that you love, and get a chance to get prepared for it, and a chance to get excited about it, and everybody.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Robinson. We'll now open it for questions. First question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Doing good.
Awesome. Hey, Coach, I want to know, how do you plan to dominate this particular bye week?
Yeah, so of course it all starts academically. We all know we have student athletes, so Monday is our big academic day, so it'll be more of a point of emphasis from that standpoint. To get some folks healthy. This is the first time that we had our 2 starting offensive tackles, the 2 guys we thought would be the starters as the year started out there playing. Still have another offensive lineman that's banged up. He should be back healthy for the Classic. So hopefully we'll get everybody back healthy. Some of those nagging injuries, I think everybody, if you're a football player in week 6, you have something that's wrong with you. So I think the biggest thing is take care of the academics and take care of the injuries.
Coach, as a follow-up, based on the health and you getting your team healthy again, I'm pretty sure maybe that's also at quarterback as well. So at the end of the day, Coach, what should teams expect from you going forward for the rest of the season?
Well, I think my defensive coordinator, Coach Lewis, has been doing a great job. I mean, just not giving up a lot of points, being real stingy on defense, coming up with multiple schemes, trying to keep the coaches guessing from the offensive stand up. My thing is, I don't like to just line up in that beat me, stab me, kill me defense where everybody knows what you're playing. So we want to make sure that we get the last check and those type of things. And then offensively, run the football. I still think, we know it's a passing game, a passing league, but you see in the SWAC now, a lot of the teams that are having success are running the football and running it effectively. So we have to get on that same train. We have 3 backs who can run it. So we have to be a physical, run the football team, and then take advantage in the pass game when they show up.
I appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Mo Carter.
Hey, Coach Robinson, obviously you guys are getting ready to go into this bye week before you get ready for the Magic City Classic. Being a person who's been in that position as a player and now a coach, can you kind of talk about the importance of it from basically seeing it from both sides now and how important it is to take care of everything leading up to this contest?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about the Classic, you just have to put your blinders on. I mean, there's so many things going on in the city, so many activities, people out there from Wednesday. But that's not for us. You know, that's for the fans. And I mean, it's a great atmosphere. It's like Coach said, it's the Classic. You know, I grew up going to the Bayou Classic and went to a lot of other ones, especially doing the commentating. So I've probably been to just about every HBCU Classic, but the Magic City Classic is still at another level. And so you can't get focused on all the outside things. You know, our thing is Saturday at 2 p.m. Everything else is for the fans, and you just have to make sure the kids and the coaches and everybody else on staff is just locked into focusing on the game and not the outside activities.
And just on a follow-up to that, can you just kind of just talk about like the importance when we look at the standings? Because both, you know, your squad, Alabama State and Alabama A&M, they're still in the thick of things for the East. Obviously, Jackson is ahead or whatever, but, you know, there's still an opportunity and chance. So can you kind of talk about like how this game can definitely impact the standings in the East?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we wanted to get back to a couple years ago. It was everybody kind of knew the team that won this Classic game had a great chance to win the SWAC East, and hopefully it can get back to that level. It'll be, you know, great for the two schools and great for the state and great for the rivalry. It has a huge impact on the East, but for us, where we are, Alabama State and Alabama A&M, it's a must-win game for both of us. You know, if we want to entertain winning the SWAC East, of course. Jackson State would have to fall and lose a couple games, but you want to be in the position in case that would happen. And of course, I mean, outside of the SWAC East, this is the Classic. I mean, so I don't care if we was both 0-6, it's still a Classic. So at the end of the day, you want to win the game because it's the match.
All right, Coach. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Robinson, I want to go a little bit back to the Valley game and get some perspective on that game, particularly with Deshaun Johnson, his playing that game. Young guy, relatively sophomore, 6'1", 208 pounds, right there out of Birmingham. Speaking about the Magic City Classic, talk about his play in that game in this season. How is his maturation? You know, he had 116 yards on 5 receptions, averaged 23. Didn't get an end zone, but played really solid in that matchup.
Yeah, Keyshawn, he's one of those kids, man. He has a Jerry Rice work ethic, and it's easy to see. I mean, he's out there every day after practice, getting the wide receiver to throw him extra balls. He's running extra routes. He's running hills. I mean, just incredible work ethic. So him going back to play in the Magic City Classic is going to be huge for him and his family. And, you know, yesterday, last week, he didn't have a quarterback to stay after practice with him. So he's running routes on air. So it's just, he's that type of kid. Wow. So you love for a kid like that to have success. Tough, physical, strong wide receiver, can block, you know, can run, make the catches. He hasn't played his best football. He just keeps getting better and better. And so I wouldn't bet against that kid of being a next level type kid just because he works so hard. So one of those kids that you love to coach, and he's a great example for the rest of the team.
On the other side of the ball, your defense has really been solid for most of the season in terms of the overall points allowed. A lot of people have looked at the front 7 in terms of what they've been able to get done. I wanted to focus a little bit on your quarterback play. Can you talk about those guys? In some ways, they've been kind of on the island, holding down, for the most part, some talented receivers in the game. Can you talk about what makes them talented and what they're able to do?
Yeah, I mean, we have 2 big guys out there, Keenan Isaac. Just about every scout has come to see him. He's a guy that definitely should get drafted, in my opinion. He'll get invited to some postseason games, and so just a great kid. Works hard. You know, realized that you had to set his goal from just being all conference to a guy that can play at the next level. So I'm loving watching him play, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. And so you know, a guy that I think that can definitely play at the next level. Then Michael Victor, a kid that transferred from UNLV, another guy. He's probably a little bit bigger than Keenan, so he stepped in when Culpepper was injured. Hopefully we'll get Culpepper back, which will just make us that much stronger. Have an extra guy that can play. We've got a lot of experience, but mean, yeah, on the back end, I mean, we try to mix it in. We don't want to make it obvious when they're out there in man coverage, but I mean, those guys have really held their own, just playing well.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, appreciate it.
Enjoy your break.
Thank you.
Yep.
Coach Robinson, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I do see that we have Coach McNair with us. Connection here momentarily. All right, there goes Coach. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach McNair, if you could start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Southern.
Yeah, it was a great venue down in Southern. You know, we went down there with the intention of playing a real good ball game, and it was a real good ball game. I thought the guys really played hard. You know, we had a couple controversial calls. Not taking anything away from Southern, what they did. Dooley had those guys ready to play in those terms. But we went out and came up short on the short end of the scoreboard. So that's where I leave it at.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach McNair. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Kenyatta, Dr. Mills, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. What were your overall thoughts on the defense, how they were able to play in that game?
I think they did great. They gave up a couple big plays right there in the first half. Gave up 2 touchdowns, big touchdown plays that we try to eliminate. And of course, of every ball game, you don't want to give up the big one. You want to make big plays offensively. And we didn't make a couple throws in terms of offense wise. Right there at the end, we had an opportunity to tie the game up. We missed a tight end wide open down the middle. Come back and we had to go back down and try to get back down there and score again. And 4th and short, wish the player thought that we got the first down, but I just don't understand the marking of the officials and how they mark things off in terms of that. You know, had a couple calls like that. But other than that, you know, defense come out second half and played an extremely hard ball game. Didn't give up any points, and offense we didn't score as many as we should have. We had opportunity to score, you know, so we didn't do it. Like I said, not taking anything from Southern. They played extremely hard. I mean, they won the ball game.
Excuse me. Follow-up question is, your team got down early, 14-0, and just continued to fight back in that matchup, but you weren't quite able, as you said, maybe to get some of those calls, a couple of more plays to get it done in terms of a victory. But now you turn the page, you come to Texas Southern University. How do you play in such a rivalry game, a significant game in terms of Western Division? How do you refocus your team ready for another Western Division matchup against Texas Southern University, playing some pretty good football as well? Is that something you worry about, or is this that can, you know, pretty much get back focused about?
You know, it ain't no different. It ain't no different every week. You got to try to play every week. And like I tell these guys, we got to put on our work shoes every week, you know, and go to work. And on Saturday, we got to perform. So it ain't no different than every week. And preparing for a team that have gotten better. I think Coach McKinney has done a great job with the Texas Southern team and what he's been doing up until now. They have gotten a whole lot better. You know, the quarterback body is doing a great job. They got 2 big running backs that's going to run and pound the ball. They got 2 linebackers that's going to make plays on defense. So we just got to prepare ourselves just like we do every other week. Prepare to go to work. Now, if I tell the young men each and every day, you know, it's a job, and you get to get paid on Saturday for the work you do through the week. You don't put the work in through the week, you don't get paid on Saturday. Not what you should be. You don't get compensated, and compensation is a win, and we fall short of that.
Great points, Coach. Thank you.
Question goes to Perry Daniels.
So, Coach, if we could talk about your program seems to be extremely resilient. And I kind of like to talk about this year's team and its resiliency, and how do you build that culture at Alcorn?
The biggest philosophy is when you talk about building a head coach and building a program, you want the program to take the personality of the head coaches, and I always believe that, and the things that I do, it's not about football all the time. It's about the aspect of life. Once you're done here, everybody's not going to have the opportunity to go to the next level. So you got to prepare the young men to be able to work a 9 to 5. And I think what we're doing here, we're building a program with guys coming in and out, whether you recruit freshmen, whether you recruit JUCO guys, or whether you're going to transfer portal. When you bring those guys into this culture, what we build here at Alcorn, it got to be something special. They got to understand what they're coming into. You're not coming into a program that they're going to allow so many things that could go wrong as an individual. You got to have good character. And I think that what we're building here, we got a good program with great character kids that want to come out and work hard each and every day to prove themselves. So we don't just take just anybody. I rather have a kid that's gonna come in and do right than that athlete that's bona fide and know everything and get the job done, but just don't have that character, just an attitude guy. I don't want those kind of players. So we streamline every guy we talk to in terms of recruiting. You don't want to know their character. We want to know the mom and dad situation at home, and all that kind of stuff. It plays a lot to our program and how we build it.
So, Coach, with that, traditionally, championship is the level of expectation for your program. What do you tell your kids after coming up short in Baton Rouge this weekend?
And we still that. We're still a championship program. They don't notify anything that we've done this past weekend. We just didn't play extremely to our expectation that we should have. I think we did in some aspect of the game to where we did some good things and some of it we didn't in terms of what we could have did a whole lot better during the course of that ball game. So we look at ourselves as coaches and things that we could have done better during the course of that game. We critiqued ourselves too. I critique myself. Each and every Saturday after a ball game, what could I have done better as a head coach to kind of help the team out to win that ball game? But I don't second guess myself. Trust me. I do what I believe, and that's just me from any aspect of the game. Whether it's making a call or calling a timeout during the course of the game, I don't second guess myself. Those kind of things that always, some people say, well, comebacks to haunt you, but it's okay. We live to see another Saturday. We got Texas Southern coming in here on Saturday with a great team that he's going to bring in. So we just got to get prepared for that game now.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Next question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Awesome. Coach, what was the most difficult aspect of Southern to either stop on defense or even offensively? What was the most difficult aspect of Southern?
I mean, they did some good things well offensively. I think Dooley, like I said, he's an offensive minded guy and he did some great things. But at the same time, we did some things that were out of character in terms of what they were doing offensively. We didn't tackle the ball as well as we should. We missed out on some of the big boy balls. But that's just a 6'4" going against a 5'10", that 50-50 ball. If he don't win that, he's not a great receiver. So at the same time, but we got to compete. We got to compete for those 50-50 balls as well. So defensive wise, what they did, it's not nothing we haven't seen before. Some of the play we didn't execute as well as we should have. And and I just said, the same thing. We call the plays to execute, and like it seemed like every play we call should be a touchdown play. But just credit them, they got a good defense. Coach Miller done a great job over there since I've been coaching against them. And so even when he was at Prairie View, so they have coach, they get paid too. So we just got to do things better and better ourselves as a program.
Coach, I have a follow-up. Very similar question about your upcoming opponent in Texas Southern. What's the most difficult aspect offensively about Texas Southern?
Their quarterback makes them go. Andrew Bada been doing a great job, and the things he's doing, he's gotten better over the past years. I think Coach McKinney done a great job with their program building up to now. So, it takes time to build a program, and I think the direction he's headed, he got that program is moving up. So, got a running back that's going to run hard. The things they do offensively is very, very creative. There's not nothing that's really standard that they does. It's some exotic stuff that kind of give you fits as a defensive coordinator. Defensive wise, what they do on defense, they gonna play, and they gonna play hard. The linebackers, they gonna come down here and make tackles. So we just got to prepare ourselves, and we got to get better this week in terms of getting ready for Texas Southern. We got to come out better as a football program.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
One final quick question from Jim Klein-Peter.
Hi, Coach. Yeah, I noticed the game started out very offensive, teams going back and forth. And in the second half, both teams seemed to pull it in. What kind of adjustments did you feel like you had to make at halftime? And how did you see the game unfolding after halftime?
The biggest thing is I think the defense did a great job of making adjustments in terms of what Southern was doing offensively. They came out and they strained themselves really hard to not even give up a point in the second half. And, offensively, I think that what we did, we tried to make some adjustment in terms of what they were doing on defense, and they were very stingy at times. And, credit their defense and Coach Miller for coming out and playing the way he did. But, we had some calls that didn't go our way. A couple controversial calls that kind of limit us from doing the things we want to do. That drive stoppers. But, that's for me to talk to the head official about and make sure we get this thing right. We can't keep putting stuff like this on TV.
Thank you, Coach.
As always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Bethune-Cookman and Bethune-Cookman head coach Terry Sims. Good morning, Coach.
Morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you for asking. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Jackson State.
Yeah. Well, again, I think when you play a team the caliber of Jackson State, you can't make mistakes. We made a few too many mistakes, and those guys capitalized on mistakes. Good football team, well-coached football team. I don't think we played terrible. Again, I think we just had too many mistakes at critical times.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Sims. We'll now open up for questions for Coach. If you do have questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. First question goes to Perry Daniels.
Coach Sims, how's the psychology of your team on and off the field?
I think we're fine. It's been trying. This is our first time back home since the 27th of last month. We've been on the road, since then. Been in Tennessee 2 weeks, stayed in Jacksonville for a week. So it's been trying, but I will say this, the resiliency of these young people, our staff, it's been amazing. We have not had the ball bounce our way, but, no one has quit. No one has given up. We're still working. So I would say that our mental is okay. Again, it was trying, it was tough, but it taught us a lot about ourselves. And it I think it brought us a little bit closer together as a program.
So after an experience like that, and moving forward with the circumstances surrounding the hurricane and all, what do you tell your team to keep them going, keep them motivated, and looking forward to getting on the field the next time?
Well, I think that's just it. We don't have to. These guys show up to work. They don't need a pep talk. They don't need a rah-rah speech to get going. They show up every day and work. They understand, the situation that we were in. And we continue as coaches just to preach to them control what you can control. Show up every day and do a great job for you and the guy next to you. And that's the mentality we take. That's the approach that we take to our everyday lives in this program.
Thank you, Coach. Good job.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We want to talk a little bit more about the Jackson State matchup. Got down early, but your team kept pushing through. Or there's some facets of the game that you thought you did well in terms of whether it's defensive, offensive, schematically?
Well, I think, we played well in spots in all three phases, but that's not good enough. We have to continue to play, a whole football game. We have to finish a whole football game. And that's what we did not do. We got down early, like you said, and we have done that in the last 2 or 3 weeks, not using anything as an excuse, but we wait till we get our backs against the wall and we start to fight back. So we're looking now, we're talking to our guys about starting fast and finishing strong. And that's what we're speaking to them about this whole week, because we have to find a way to come out of the blocks a little bit faster and to continue that throughout the game and finish it strong.
Speaking about starting faster, you get home, but now you got to get back on the road to go to Mississippi Valley State to Devils.
Well, and it was not a good time for us to joke about it, because we lost the game on Saturday, but we had a couple of our guys that, they said, Coach, we're right back at it. And it's not just Mississippi Valley. We leave again the next week to go to Prairie. So we're going to be on the road for the next couple of weeks, and that's fine. We're going to stay here, and we're actually home. So that's a little bit, I think, easing of our minds, or easing of these young people's minds, because they get back to their apartments. They get back to their dorm rooms. They have an opportunity to have some sense of normalcy in their life. So I think that's good for all of us. We get to kind of hit the reset button, and we're preparing in our facility, practicing in our facilities. So that's something that we have not had a chance to do in the last 3 weeks.
Thank you, Coach. I didn't think about the following week. You're right. You're back in coming across to Texas, and hopefully I get a chance to speak to you directly out here. With that said, focusing on the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils in that matchup, they've been able to still be pretty physical on defense, not scoring as much as they would like. But when you talk about that side of the ball, offensively, you want to get off faster. But what are some particular things that you look at doing against Delta Devils in terms of that particular matchup?
Well, I think number one, we have to protect the ball. And I thought we did a decent job of that Saturday. We only had 1 turnover, but it was at a critical point in the game. We have to take care of the ball, and we have to catch the football. We had way too many drops on Saturday, have no excuse for it. We had some of our better guys that just did not come up with the ball when they were targeted. So that's what we want to do. We want to make the plays that we're supposed to make when we make sure that we make the plays we're supposed to make when we get to Mississippi Valley on Saturday. Absolutely.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Last question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, Ernest Ricks, MTMV Sports. Coach, did you see a significant difference or significant improvement in Jackson State from last year to this year offensively?
I mean, they were a good football team last year, I thought. They do just what good football teams do. They take advantage of mistakes. They capitalize on mistakes. When you make a mistake, then they capitalize on it. So I'm not going to say they were, head over heels better than they were last year. They made plays last year. We made plays. They made plays this year. We made plays. We just didn't make enough of them. So I thought that they had a little bit more of an upgrade on the O-line. We were able to sack them 9 times last year. I think it was, only 3 this year or whatever. So that had to be a little bit of an upgrade. But as far as them as a whole, as a team, I thought they were talented last year, and I thought they were talented this year.
Coach, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coach Sims, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Florida A&M. Head coach Willie Simmons. You see we have Coach with us. Good morning, Coach.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Coach, as always, appreciate you taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Well, it was a great game to be a part of. Two blue blood programs, two of the most storied programs in all of college football, clashing on Grambling's field in their first home game. So it was a great atmosphere to be a part of. And, we found a way for the second week in a row to get it done when it mattered. We didn't play our best ball on offense, played our worst game on special teams, but defensively played really strong and contained an offense with a lot of weapons to a pretty good night, and was able to hold on in the end. For the second week in a row, our defense has saved us on the last drive of the game. So proud of those guys. Bye week comes at a great time to get some guys back healthy. Obviously, we were without Isaiah Land, Eric Smith, Terrell Jennings, a few other starters, Tim Williams, and so played shorthanded. But again, I tip my hat to Grambling. They played a tough physical football game, and we knew it was going to be a 60-minute ball game, and that's exactly what it was.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Simmons. First question goes to Dr. Bill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Ville's inside the HB Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Simmons.
Hey, good morning, Doc.
Yes, you talked about your defense making some big plays in the game, particularly late. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Jerry Musa, 22-36, 226 yards and a touchdown, but didn't throw an interception. So he improved from what happened the week before at the end of the game. Talk about his maturation as he continues to grow in your offense.
Well, the number one thing is to not turn it over. And so we accomplished that goal. He made some throws. He made some throws moving his feet, extended some plays, and definitely was able to extend some drives with his ability to find the open receiver. Missed a couple, had a couple opportunities where we had some guys running open and we missed them. And so, again, it's just for him continuing to grow as a quarterback and study the game. And, like Coach Black, our old quarterback, Coach O.C. used to say, make the layups. We missed a few layups the other day, and if we can get him to consistently make those layups, which are the easy plays where a guy may be running wide open, this offense can have some more explosion. We're just not creating the explosive plays that we're accustomed to, and that's not the quarterback per se. That's us as a whole. So this bye week will give us a chance to really evaluate, study ourselves, and see how we can manufacture some more explosive plays with the level of playmakers we have on the offensive side of the ball.
On the other side of the ball, defensively, we've seen the fortitude of the defense in regards to getting players back and them getting into defensive mindset. Talk about some key players that are really getting going at the mid part of the season thus far.
Well, Kamar Stevens has been a pleasant surprise for us. 3 sacks in Saturday's games, brings them to 6 on the season. We knew we always had the ability. It was just a matter of channeling it the right way. But he's playing at an extremely high level right now. We were searching for a pass rusher opposite Isaiah Land, and we think we might have found him in Kamari Stevens. And so he's playing at a really high level. Isaiah Major continues to play at a high level. And then Johnny Chaney, another young linebacker, had a stellar game on Saturday. So I think those guys are really starting to come into their own on the defensive side of the ball. And we'll need it because, again, right now, offensively, we're not playing as well as we need to. And then aside from yesterday, special teams played really well. But we saw Saturday, that, we can have some blunders in that area too. So hopefully we can finish the season really strong on defense and really strong in special teams, and then find a way to get our offense going and give us a chance to, close out the season the way we want to.
Thank you, Coach.
Goes to Zach McKinnell.
How you doing, Coach? Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods.
Hey, Zach.
So one of the big stats that stuck out this week, and even in a victory, were the penalty yards. You guys had almost 170 yards of penalties, 14. What was the message to the team, and what is the coaching staff doing to correct that moving forward?
Well, we have been really good. We were leading the conference up until 2 weeks ago, and we in South Carolina State, a lot of penalties, and then Saturday, same thing. So for us, it's getting back to what we were doing in the beginning, stressing it. in how we practice. But again, penalties is just it's all discipline. It's all little things. It's fundamentals. So for us, it's going back to focusing on those little things, not allowing the guys to get complacent and not getting lax in how we enforce penalties. We'll go out on the field tomorrow morning and guys got to pay. You know, if you got a personal foul, there's a significant penalty to pay for a personal foul. Not so much for a holding or pass interference or hands to the face, but these personal fouls have to stop. They're selfish penalties. They're self-inflicted penalties, and the penalties that can really hurt our football team. So if we had 15 penalties and they were all hands to the face, holdings, pass interferences, I'd be okay. But when over half, almost half, are pre-snap or post-whistle penalties, that's unacceptable. And that's a poor reflection of us, me as a coach, of our young men and who they are as our coaching staff. And this university, you know, we're not that undisciplined group of guys that don't know how to pull up when the quarterback's out of bounds, or they don't know how to stand over a guy and taunt after a big hit, you know, or, you know, just any of the myriad of reasons why we got personal fouls on Saturday. You know, we have to eliminate those things. Of course, it's going to come back to bite us, and we definitely don't want that to be the case.
And you've been vocal these past few weeks about getting the run game going. And this weekend, you guys had over 100 yards rushing. Jalen McLeod and AJ Davis both had big games. What has been the key for the offense getting the running game going and being more consistent throughout the season?
Just committing to it, and guys training, guys communicating. You know, it takes 11 guys to be able to run the ball, and so many times there's 10 guys doing it right and one guy not. You know, so we got to figure out a way for everyone to do that 111. Take pride in finishing blocks and communicating and straining your body, and our running backs have to be dynamic. And so we'll continue to emphasize it because, again, we don't want to be one-dimensional. And we ran it better Saturday, but still not to the level that we'd like to see.
Appreciate you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, Ernest Ricks, MTV Sports. Coach, talk to us about the touchdown chain and how it's, what was the impact of that on your offense?
Well, touchdown chain is something Coach Swaney, our strength coach, started a couple of years ago. The guys enjoy it. I don't even see it. I never see it. I see photos of it. Josh does a great job of getting those photos and posting them as quickly as possible. But it's something the guys take pride in, whether it's them wearing it or them passing it on to the offensive line or whatever the case may be. So just something, make the game interesting. These millennials, they like that kind of stuff. I'm an old head. It doesn't mean anything to me, but the guys like it. So if it means that we score one more touchdown because the guy wants to put on the chain, then that's what happens. But that's their deal, and I let them have it.
Coach, talk to me about the X-Men, Xavier Smith. I'm asking because I want to know, what do you think about him going to the next level, right? What's the prospects of him moving on to the next level? And then for the rest of the season, how dominant, what's his ceiling?
I definitely think he's a guy that has the ability to play at the next level, and I hope he gets that chance. The scouts have been through, and a lot of them like him. He's a football player, loves the game, works his butt off every day, never complains, and he's a guy that we're gonna miss him when he's no longer here. We try to force feed him. I thought Grambling did a great job of game planning for him, but it allowed Jamari Sharif to have a big game. So we're blessed to have receivers opposite Xavier who can play as well, to where teams can't just key on 19. But he's a special player for many reasons, and we're definitely fortunate to have him. I think he's the best receiver in the country.
Coach, thank you. I appreciate you.
The last quick question from G. Thomas.
Hey, what's going on, Coach?
What's up, Joe?
Not much. So I know before y'all went on these 2 road games, you said great football teams are made on the road. What were some things that your main takeaways from these last 2 away games that you picked up from your team?
One, we got to do a better job of focusing in the hotel. I thought we were a little bit too, I don't want to say loose because we wanted to be loose, but I don't think we were dialed in enough. Pre-game meal, it was way too much chatter. And we didn't perform, right? And so if they're doing that and they're performing at a high level, maybe that's just their way of getting the jitters out. But there's just too many unfocused penalties, got just false starts, again, personal fouls. So we're not focusing in on game day. So that's one thing that we have to make sure we clean up. But other than that, I'm proud of them. We've gone on the road in 2 hostile territories and found ways to win. in the face of extreme adversity. And so that's a testament to them. But we got to clean some things up. You know, we got 2 back-to-back home games with homecoming next week and then Southern the week after that. So we don't travel again for another 3 weeks. But when we do hit the road again, we got to do a better job of dialing in on game day. But all in all, I thought the guys, they handled themselves well. They're respectful. The hotel staff, the playing staff, everyone always compliments our guys whenever we travel and go places. So testament to their character. But obviously we got to mentally and physically prepare ourselves to play better football than we have the last couple of weeks.
And then one more follow-up from me, Coach. Of course, you eclipsed 50 wins this past weekend. Just tell me how special conquering that feat was.
Well, it was so special that Josh had to remind me after the game. So I don't think about that kind of stuff, man. I mean, I'm trying to win a football game. I was excited that we won, and Josh reminded me after the game that it was my 50th win. I didn't even talk about it throughout the week. I didn't even know. Again, I went into the season. I knew that I was at 45, and but I didn't think about it after that. So, but it's a blessing, obviously. You know, winning is hard. Been doing this now as a head coach for 7 years, 6 seasons, and pretty decent winning percentage. So I'm blessed to be around really good players, good coaches, good support staff, and that's really what. So this isn't my award. This isn't me eclipsing 50. It's us. We eclipsed 50 as a football program, and I'm excited to be a part of this group of individuals.
Thank you, Coach. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Gerald.
Coach Simmons, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Grambling State. Head coach Jackson. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you so much for taking some time to join us. Coach Jackson, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Florida A&M.
Our team competed as hard as they could against a very good football team. Congratulations to Coach Simmons' 50th win. I didn't know that, just heard that. So congratulations to him. But I think our team, we're starting to become a football team, which I'm excited about the future. I think we're finding a quarterback that we're very comfortable with, and we just got to continue to grow in some other areas. And I think we'll get to where we need to be.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Jackson. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta. Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Obviously, Grambling came out to the game and it was announced that they would have the G on the helmet. It seemed the perfect time in terms of iconic matchup between Florida A&M. But in terms of on the field, quarterback, Julian had a solid game in terms of being able to get it done in the air and with his feet in terms of his matchup. Talk about his maturation in terms of what he's getting done with the 113 yards on 16 carries in terms of running, and then 14 of 36, 149 yards and a big touchdown in that game passing the ball.
No, he's growing. I mean, each and every week he's getting better. That's the first game he started and finished the game, which I think is very important in this process for him. As I said before, I recruited the young man, knew exactly what he would be. He's all that and more. I think he's got a bright future ahead of himself. Again, we have to continue to play better around him as we go. There's a number of drop balls and things that we still got to continue to clean up, but I'm happy with where he is and happy with where he can go.
What about on the defensive side of the ball? How are you seeing your defense? It seems like they played really well in this game, but improving throughout the season. What are your thoughts in terms of your defense play specific against FAMU in this matchup?
No, I thought our guys battled hard. They played a very good offense. I mean, those were two of the best skill receivers I've seen in our conference. Those guys are really good. And I think we hung in there extremely well. I think our defensive staff did a good job. I think our defense is growing every week as well. And again, nobody likes to hear that. It's taken a little bit longer than what we like, but I think we're starting to really understand what we're doing on defense and what we're doing on offense and special teams.
Thank you, Coach Jackson.
Next question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods. How are you doing, Coach?
Doing great.
So Lyndon Rash has really emerged as the leading wide receiver for this team over this season. Can you speak a little bit about his development and how his role is growing within your offense?
You know, you said it. I think he has emerged as the guy that's been a huge part of our offense. He works hard, extremely hard every day. He understands what we're trying to accomplish. I said it last week. The guy's a pro. You know, he comes to the game and comes to practice, I should say, first and foremost, ready to practice and get better. And then he understands the game plan on a whole different level, which I think has been really good. And it's been really comforting to our quarterbacks because we have somebody you can really trust that's going to be there. And again, there's some other guys that are going to make that jump as well. But speaking of Rash, he's done a great job.
And at the running back spot, I know a lot of people have focused just on Maurice Washington and him overcoming some injuries earlier this season, but you guys have seemed to incorporate just a rotating door of running backs so far throughout the season. Is that by design, or are you guys looking for a running back to emerge and take over that sole running back number one role?
No, I think it's been more by design because we have quite a few guys who are very talented and guys who want to be back there, and then we need to see them back there. There's no question Maurice is a tremendous talent, but he has been nicked up a little bit. So we feel good that we have other guys that can go in there and play and compete and play at a high level for us.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Perry Daniels.
Hey, Coach, if we could talk about the experience of being the head coach of GSU for your first game in the historic Eddie Robinson Stadium.
It was amazing. Our fans did a great job. They showed up and they were supporting our football team. It was a heck of a football game. Just walking down into the hole that day and understanding that we're, one of the greatest that's ever coached a game, coached here. That was exciting within itself. Obviously, we wanted to win. There are no moral victories, but I see our football team emerging and getting better, and we need to continue to keep pressing on the pedal so we can get better.
What are those things that the team needs to focus on to accomplish that, Coach?
I think what we got to continue to do is we've had this penalty situation, and I've done everything I know to do to keep emphasizing this, and we're going to continue to emphasize it. Obviously, if we don't get a penalty in the OPI at the end of the game, we got a chance to win the game. So it's unfortunate, but these things are just continuing to rear their ugly head, and we got to solve it. And we got to continue to, when we get in the scoring zone, find a way to score football. And again, we just got to make sure that there's not a plethora of assignment errors that stop us from having an opportunity to win.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Last question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Ernest Ricks, NTV Sports. Awesome. Coach, what went into the decision to put the G's back on the helmet? How, in your opinion, did they earn the G back?
They earned it because of the things we started to do, not just on the field, but off the field. As I said before, I think there was a lot that went into that decision for me to remove it. And I think people just thought it was, around just the football piece. I think being a G man is more than just the football part of it. And but that's a huge part of it. But it's how you conduct yourself on and off the field. It's how you take care of your business on the field. Is how you conduct yourself as a G man. And so we really made some huge strides over those several weeks of starting to turn that corner. I think we're starting to see that also in our football play. And I think they earned it back. I had a thought process on how I wanted them to earn it, and they started doing the things that we needed to do. So they earned it back.
Love it, Coach. Throughout the season, it seems like we've seen multiple QBs most games, but in the last game, that wasn't their approach. Will we continue to see multiple QBs later on in the season?
I would hope not. Again, we got to continue to get better, and everybody wants to have just one quarterback. Sometimes you play a couple guys by strategy of things you're trying to do and whatever it takes to help the football team win. We want to be a one quarterback team as much as anybody, so people know who the leader is of the offense. But we'll do whatever we need to do to win football games. But right now, Julian Calvez obviously has played well, and he's earned the right to be the starting quarterback.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
Sure.
Jackson, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Next up, we go to Arkansas Pine Bluff and head coach Doc Gamble. Do you see Coach with us? Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach Gamble, as always, we appreciate you taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
Another tough loss, close one. We started basically got on the scoreboard first, and we were able to answer. Went back and forth. Went in at halftime down 7. Came out after the half, tied the game up right away. And then they answered. We came back and answered. Both teams really ran the ball well. Kayvon Britton had an outstanding day, as well as our offensive line. And I apologize to you guys. We told you guys Skylar Prairie that he didn't play. I didn't realize he was back injured until after our this press conference here last week. So I was very unaware of that. Until he showed up late Monday afternoon. So kind of dropped the ball on that one. We'll get the information to him. But we had to play another freshman quarterback and Chancellor Edwards. We had to change some things up a little bit to make sure what happened at Southern didn't happen with him, and playing the freshman QB. At times it made us one-dimensional, but, Alabama A&M had their hand in that as well. Hats off of those guys too. But another one, we got to find a way to win these close ones down the stretch, for us. We in them, but you just don't want to be in them. You want to win them, So we got to figure those things out, and we got to do it right away.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Gamble. First question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods. How you doing, Coach?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad. Is there a timetable on Skylar Perry's injury, or is he potentially out for the season, or do you guys not have that information currently?
I don't know if he's out. He was just yesterday with the extra day. He was able to put on a pad, put on some shoulder pads just to go out and make it look like we only had one quarterback. So, just wanted how to disguise it a little bit. I don't know the timetable. He's usually a quick healer. But, with this one here, it's going to take, he gutted it out against Texas Southern. I know that for a fact. And maybe he should have took another week off that, but it's going to help. We got a bye week here and so forth. But what it did do, it was able to challenge us as a staff. We had to have a few more wrinkles going into the game with us being notified of that he wasn't going to be able to go. And our team handled it pretty well. So I'm proud of our guys. We fought without him, but he makes us a lot more dynamic offensively. That's for sure.
And you mentioned your running back, Kayvon Britton, had a huge day, 4 touchdowns, over 200 yards rushing. Can you speak a little bit about his development and what makes him such an explosive player on you guys' offense?
It doesn't have to be blocked right with him. He's a patient runner. He's a strong guy. He kind of reminds you of what we had back here in 2018 and 19 in Taylor Porter. He's in that same mold as Taylor. He's very heady. He's a smart kid. He has a very high football IQ. He's a former point guard in basketball as well. His family lineage is he comes from a family of a lot of men, and all of them were athletes. So he's inherited that trait from those guys, with him too is his demeanor. He's pushing to get better every single day, and the way he shows up, he's the same dude every single day, and he's always looking to improve.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Gamble,
yes.
How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well. You came into the season a lot of ways to be dimensional and probably a lot of focus on your quarterback, Skylar Perry, but now you're going to have to run the ball. You were able to do it pretty effectively in this matchup, obviously, as you just talked about with Kayvon Britton with such a big game, 277 yards. Do you feel like you're going to have to focus a little more about being able to be effective on the run if you're still having the questions about how healthy Skylar may be and when he'll be able to come back?
Well, we always, that's why we start when we start game planning it anyway. It's in the run game, you know, and for me, I do like to throw the football, you know, and I love the passing game. I admire a good throw game, but I know you got to be able to run the football, and then you got to be able to do it effectively, you know. And we were able to do that, and we got some guys up front that we can do it with, and you know, they got challenged this week, you know. So, you know, even last week against Southern, you know, Brittany had 97 yards. I asked him, what was the other 3 at? You know, we didn't get 100, you know, so, and they took that personal. You know, regardless who was going to be the quarterback or not. For us too, it kind of forced our hand a little bit with Chancellor. You know, it took away some of the things we would like to do in our passing game, you know, just to help him out and not so he wouldn't be overwhelmed. So it was kind of a positive thing for us to see that we can run the ball when we have to and when we need to. Just going back here just a little bit with Chancellor, we're running the ball. They loaded up the box and gave us an opportunity to throw the ball there. And Chancellor overthrew one. Then he made his best pass of the game, was the last pass of the game, you know, and then we got it in the receiver's hand and it was dropped. So, and a good play by their defensive back and breaking it up. So, but again, going back, you know, for us to run the football, you got to be able to do it. And that's what was always our starting point.
Thank you, Coach Gill.
Yeah.
Next question goes to I.C. Morrell.
Excuse me, Coach Campbell, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Very well, thanks very much. Coach, look, there were a couple of times you put Raekwon Prince under center in some run packages. Was the intent maybe to get Raekwon in the run package or you know, when Chancellor was out?
Raekwon's pretty dynamic when he has the ball in his hand. He just had to throw it to him. You know, he's our punt returner and kick returner as well. And, you know, when we decided, you know, we had one quarterback going into the game. So we had to have an emergency plan. And Raekwon was an emergency plan. But also with developing that plan, we said, hey, you know, if the quarterback's being overwhelmed, we set him a series or 2 just so he could sit back and watch the game. You know, sometimes you got to be able to sit back and see the flow of the game and realize that it's not going as fast as you think it may be going. And there was an opportune time to put it in there, and it helped us out as well. I think it helped Chancellor. It helped settle Chancellor down a little bit. You know, so it worked out for us. We had a good drive with Raekwon in there. I think we scored with him in there, and it gave us a different dynamic. And it showed a little something else that we haven't shown before. So it ended up working out pretty good. And my hats off to the coaching staff. You know, they came up with the plan for it, and then how to, you know, the thought of when to inject Raekwon into the game at quarterback.
Gotcha, Coach. During the skid that you've been on, what is the number one common denominator in your mind as far as, you know, why you all have been on the skid?
Well, you know, we got to learn how to win. And, you know, and it's sometimes some years when you know how to win, you'll win all the close ones. And then when you don't know how to win, you know, you tend to come up short in the end. And, you know, so we got to get to that point where we learn how to win. And you know, it's just a play here or there, you know, that you got to make, you know, down the stretch. They got to be made. And we haven't been making those plays just right now.
Coach, thanks a lot.
Right.
Campbell, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Mississippi Valley State and head coach Vincent Dancy. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. And first and foremost, just want to say thank you to you for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Alabama State.
I thought we played hard, especially defensively. We you know, they came out, opened the possession. They went down and scored, but I thought our defense played well. I thought we had a few chances to, you know, to turn the ball over, get a turnover early on the first drive. We just missed it. And then our defense came back out and gave us 2 turnovers and gave us the ball right in our red zone. We just couldn't capitalize, and also had a block kick. So I thought that, alone would have helped us out and gave us a little momentum in the first half. But came back out the second half. Our defense still continued to play strong, only allowing them to score, get in the end zone one time in the second half. Offensively, we just couldn't get that going. Scored late in the fourth quarter, but at that point the game was out of reach. But just proud of the effort our defense has been showing the last few games, and being able to hold 2 good opponents under 100 yards rushing. I think that's the right step that we're taking on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, we just got to continue to go out and work hard. We get some more players back. We got Ja'Cory Rankin back this game, and he was able to score for us. And this week, hopefully, we'll be able to get a few more guys back to go against a good Bethune-Cookman football team.
Comments, Coach. We'll open up for questions. First question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods. How you doing, Coach?
Doing good. How you doing?
Not too bad. So we saw 2 quarterbacks this past weekend. Moving forward, are you looking to run exclusively a 2 quarterback system, or what are you looking for either of these guys to do to separate themselves in the coming weeks?
Early this week, we went with Goodwin. Of course, Jones was out with an injury earlier this week. We didn't know what we were having for the game, so we wanted to prepare Trampers the best way we could. We started practicing with him this week, and he did some good things in practice, and we wanted to go into the game with him. He practiced all week. We felt like we had a great game plan for him. And I didn't think he did a bad job this game. He just didn't, execute like we wanted him to execute in the game. But as far as a 2 quarterback system, we don't want to shuffle in and out quarterbacks. We really want to have a 1 quarterback, system where, our guys understand who is leading them out week in and week out. And like I say, Jamar just had injury early on in the week, but he was able to come into the game and, throw a touchdown late in the game, late in the fourth quarter. But, right now we're going to continue to prepare Jamar the best way we can and move forward.
And you guys have been able to run the ball extremely consistently with Caleb and that stable of running backs. But I really want to focus on the offensive line. Can you speak to their development? Because throughout the season, they look like they've been improving week in and week out. Just what have you seen from the offensive line that gives you hope moving forward that this run game can continue to be as good as it has been?
Oh, man, those guys are fighters. I think since game 1, we've been, shuffling in and out offensive linemen, playing freshmen, playing guys who haven't even played but due to injuries. We haven't had the same starting 5 neither, since Tarleton State week. We lost some guys for the season. We lost a few guys for the season, but the rest of the guys have been doing a great job stepping in and stepping up. So I'm very proud of those guys. Of course, they're making progress week in and week out. And of course, if you know up front, that's the heartbeat of the team. And when you're shuffling guys in and out, it's kind of hard to get that continuity and that chemistry that you want up front, the communication that you need in order to be successful, whether it's in the run game and in the passing game. We just got a dynamic running back who can make things happen, even if it's not right up front. But I think, I just give those guys credit, man, because a lot of those guys shouldn't even be playing, this year, but they're stepping in and doing a great job.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Dancy.
Yes, sir.
You talked a little bit about Corey Johnson, but you also had Donald Johnson III in terms of a kick return. He had 2 opportunities, total 70 yards, 1 big one on 36. Talk about his play in terms of how it kind of kickstart some stuff and giving you a chance a little more on the offensive side of the ball.
I think, 2 or 3 weeks in a row, he's been doing a good job on kickoff return, getting us, putting us in good field position, what was expected of him, being that he's a 5th-year senior. And he's just been doing a dynamic job. He's a kid that once he gets the ball in his hands, he has great speed, tremendous vision back there as a kick returner. So he's been doing a good job in that area, just allowing us to have good field position off those kicks, and hopefully, he get a chance to take one to the house. I thought he could have took at least 2 to the house this year, but he's been doing a great job in that area.
You come back home this week against Bethune-Cookman, get a chance to play at home, your home crowd. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup, in terms of the Wildcats?
I know Coach Simmons, man, and I know he's going to do a good job of preparing his team. A good football team. I just think, in certain times they just missed opportunities, or just a possession here, a possession there. They went. They're not a 1-in 5 team right now. They're a good football team, but coming back home and being able to play at home against in front of our home crowd, it's going to be a good football game. I look forward to it. It's a homecoming week for us. A lot of people be coming back for homecoming, so hopefully our guys will be amped up and ready to go out here and get our first win at home this week.
Thank you, Coach Dancy. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question goes to Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Dancy. Good morning to you. Ty Miller with the Power News Radio Network.
Good morning.
Hey, Coach. 27% on third down. Besides your quarterback situation, what factors can go into improving that?
Oh man, just continue to work at it, man. We've struggled on third down. And that's something that I take full credit for. We got to do a better job as a coaching staff and helping these young men and put them in the right situations on third down so they can execute on those third down plays. Of course, everybody's gonna load the box to stop the run. With Caleb Johnson, so we can't just rely on Caleb Johnson to try to squeak out those third down plays, especially when it's third and medium and third and long. We got to find a way to execute in the passing game, which we've been struggling, since the first part of the season. So again, we just got to continue to go out and have a clear-cut game plan, and that starts with me. And I got to do a better job of putting these guys in a better position, because I think that, man, they work hard, man. They're practicing hard, they're working hard, they do everything that I asking them to do, and at the end of the day, I got to do a better job of putting them in position to go out and be successful in those key situations.
Hey, Coach, you've been down this road before, so as you get into the second half of the season, how much do you talk to your team about being a factor at some point in this SWAC race?
Just finish what we start. That's our motto, man. We got to finish what we start. We're not a team that's going to gripe and complain about a lot of things. Of course, we face a lot of things, a lot of adversity, throughout. So we just got to finish what we start. We're not going to quit. We're not going to back down. I think we're getting better week in and week out. We're playing hard. We're playing physical, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I commend those guys. My hats go out to the defensive side of the ball, especially the fight they put up every week for the last 3 weeks. Those guys have been putting us in position to win games. We just haven't executed enough on offense to win the game. You have to score in order to win. Like I said, man, our defense created turnovers this week. Stop those guys in the run, stop their running attack. They gave up a big play. I think just one explosive play, maybe 2 explosive plays this week. But those guys have been fighting hard, man. I can't ask no more for what they've been giving me on the defensive side of the ball. Now it's our job on the offensive side to go out and continue to fight and put a good game together for once. Put a good game together on the offense so we can be victorious. But we won't quit. We won't stop fighting. That's just who we are. That's just who we've always been. And we just got to continue to fight.
Hey, Coach, finally, this weekend, you mentioned this homecoming, and there's a green and white out. So how much energy can that bring to the stadium and to the team?
Oh, man, our fans have been doing a good job. Every week we've been at home, of coming and supporting, and that goes a long ways, especially with the players. Anytime you can have the fans to continue to fight, and no matter what the record is, they continue to come out and support, man. That goes a long way with these young men, and I'm proud of the fans. I'm proud to see them show up and show out, and especially for homecoming week. I know there'll be a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of people coming back to see these guys play. So I'm looking forward to it.
Coach, thank you a lot, and good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Dancy, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speak to you again next week.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Prairie View A&M. Head coach Bubba McDowell. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Obviously, a bye week for the Panthers this past week. So if you could just kind of walk us through recapping your bye week.
Yeah, I mean, really good chance for us to, get healthy, get some guys healthy. We're still in that process of getting guys completely healthy. Some of the starters that are being Nick going into the last couple of weeks, several weeks. So again, just good opportunity to get them guys healed up and get ready to go into play a good football team that's 0-6. And again, we know that it's the 0-6 doesn't determine what kind of team that they are in this year. But again, we know that, as I told these guys, going into this game, we just gotta go in there and get ready for during the off week and get ready this week. Good week of football practice and go in and try to win this game.
Appreciate those comments, Coach McDowell. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach McDowell.
What up, Doc? Good morning, sir.
I'm good. Good morning. Besides working to get guys' body healed, those that are able to get back healthy this time of the year, what were some additional things that you focused on doing off open day?
I'm sorry, basically just getting guys lined up and again, just being where they're supposed to be. Again, stressing that to them. I know as young men, guys that want to make plays and get into that limelight type atmosphere of being a guy. We stress quite a bit this week. Guys doing your job, and that's been kind of our motto the last half of several games. Again, guys just doing things that they're not supposed to do, and a lot of times I tell them when that happens, bad things happen. So we've been focusing on guys just doing their job first this whole week and this week coming up.
This weekend coming up, as you talk about, you face your third FCS non-conference opponent this weekend. It's Lamar. What have you seen on film in terms of what do you want to focus on, both offensive and defensively, in this matchup?
Offensively, I want to be able to pass the ball more. We got a good running game, and we've been showing that we got a good running game. I want this offensive team to start throwing the ball, showing that we got athletes out there on the edge that can catch the ball, that can make something happen when the ball is in their hand. We get Dumas back, Channing back, Dumas, the freshman, back as well this week. But again, we're not going to play him, unless absolutely necessary. But, I'm going to challenge these guys offensively, to go out and make plays. They're athletic enough to do it, Doc. But again, you got to do it within your assignment. And we're not doing that. Got to get lined up, we got to be able to go hurry up with these guys and get them off task a little bit defensively. Again, we just got to get the pressure on them. They do a lot of boots. They do a lot of two tight end type offense. We're gonna have to tackle. They're gonna probably come downhill, running the ball, and as well as a lot of boot action. So we got to be very smart in what we're doing defensively. And again, as I said earlier, about guys doing their responsibility first.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to the matchup this weekend.
Thanks, Doc.
Next question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell of the Blue Bloods. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Zach. What's going on, bud?
So your front seven has played extremely well this year. Multiple guys. You guys have really excelled at playing in the backfield this year. Can you speak to what makes that front seven so dynamic, so fast and physical, and why that's been a big strength of your guys this year?
Again, guys just fast, man. Again, veterans for one being that their veteran squad coming back, other than a couple new guys back there, Miles Mahaney. Again, those guys are fast. They're athletic, and as I've been saying all along, our defense can't go without those guys doing what they do up front. If we can get those guys consistently rushing and the passer and causing them to do things that they're not used to doing, it'll be a good day for us. We didn't do that the second half last week, but I think we're going to get back on track with these guys. As I stressed to the coaches, I said, we've been talking about using these guys, rotating them in and out all year long. And we didn't do that the last week against Southern, should I say, enough. And as I stressed to them, we got to be able to use these guys, consistently, and get them into the ball game. Because again, we don't have those guys right now that can go, 6 and 7 plays straight and be effective. So we got enough guys to get them in, rotate them and do something good. And so as coaches, we got to be able to use those guys.
And you spoke about it was a disappointing loss last week. How important was the bye week to let your guys know that all the goals are still in front of you guys? You're still in the divisional race, and then you have a big out of conference game to really get that momentum back. But can you speak to kind of the mindset and the message from the coaches this week on the bye week?
Yeah, and that's where it's a great point, Zach. That's exactly why going into this week, the off week, I told the coaches we got to get these guys back to playing, fundamental football. And if we do that, we're going to be okay. Just let their athletic ability take over within their responsibility of their job. Again, we're still there in the hunt, but again, we got to take care of business from here on out. And in order to do that, we got to be on our P's and Q's, as one would say, consistently. And again, if you're not playing consistent football in this league, anybody can beat you. We have yet to do that, but again, it was all about guys, coming into this week during the off week, getting healthy, and going over plays that we screwed up on, and making sure that these guys understand, again, do your job first, and just let the defense, take care of itself. Because again, many times when you don't do it, bad things happen. So that was one of the biggest things stressed to these young men throughout this whole week. Just go do your job, and let your athletic ability take care, and let the game, take care of itself.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Zach.
Currently taking questions for Coach McDowell with Prairie A&M. Any final questions for Coach? Coach McDowell, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Appreciate you guys. God bless.
Thank you. All right, we're a few minutes ahead of schedule. Next up, we will have Coach Dooley with Southern University. We will be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience. Once again, for all of our media that are participating on the media session, if you do have a question for our coaches, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up question. If we do have availability during our coaches' time slots, we'll work our way back in to get more questions asked. With that being said, next up, we'll be joined by Southern University head coach, Eric Dooley. You see that we have Coach there with us. Morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for asking. Coach, obviously a bye week for the Jaguars this past week. If you could kind of start us out, just recapping your bye week.
No, it wasn't a bye week. We had a hard-fought contest against Alcorn this past.
I apologize, Coach. I apologize.
Absolutely, not a problem. But I thought it was a great game day atmosphere. You're talking about two teams that came out and understood the magnitude of that contest. You're talking about two teams had to compete for the West, and we know it's a long season still ahead of us, but thought it was a well-fought contest on both sides of the ball.
I'll take better notes here in the office, Coach. I apologize for that misrepresentation of your opponent.
No problem.
Thank you so much for those opening comments, Coach. Now open it up for questions for Coach Dooley. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Offensively, you were effective both in being able to pass the ball, running the ball, getting some big plays off early in that matchup. Was that a plan to really want to get a fast start in terms of what you do offensively with your team?
Absolutely. We always want to get off to a fast start. I think that's just the nature of our team. And I mean, I guess any team that's playing want to get off to a fast start and then finish strong, but we were able to do some things that we had the opportunity to work on throughout the week.
Follow-up is about August Petrie, wide receiver, senior, 6'1", 176 pounds. This is a consecutive game where he's had gotten the end zone, been pretty effective in terms of what he did in this matchup, 127 yards, 4 reception, averaging 31.8. He's gotten some big plays over the last couple of weeks. Talk about what makes him special.
Absolutely. He's one of our guys. You know, he's one of the guys we were able to bring in. The guy that got him in late, but we expect some big things from him. But, you know, the guy he's just been patient, you know, and letting the offense come to him. Didn't get him off to a quick start. And I think that was key. A very, very unselfish football player. When you have a guy like that, good things are going to happen.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Hey, Coach. After watching the film, were you even more impressed with your defense's effort? Because they were really up against the wall in the second half and trying to hold off Alcorn. What did you see that really impressed you when you went back and looked at the film?
Well, I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I didn't have to take a look at the film. I was able to see it. The things that they were doing. We've been playing some good defense throughout the whole season, especially in the second half of the season. But I think we just can't let it get down to that sometimes. But when you got two good football teams that's playing, you know, somebody's gonna have to be able to make a play. And they're very pleased and I won't always say satisfied, but pleased with what the defense have accomplished thus far.
Okay. And also, Dr. Cavill mentioned August Petrie, but or Pete, and Cassius Allen and Rudy Dyson. Those three guys are kind of the same style receiver. They're big, they're fast, and athletic and physical. Has that always been your preference in receivers? It looks like you loaded up on them this year.
Well, size doesn't matter to me. I love speed, and I love guys that go after the football. As long as you attack the football, I think any coach is going to want that type of receiver. And we've been fortunate enough to bring those young men in, and they're doing some great things for it. But we do have some other receivers that we just gotta. I guess the biggest thing is just getting a chance to try to feed all those guys. And at some point, it gets a little difficult, but we got guys that we feel can come out the backfield. We got some tight ends, so we do have some guys that are here. But those three guys right there do stand out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell of the Blue Bloods. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. This past weekend was a big game for your running back, Carl Ligon here. And can you speak to his development and how he's emerged in this running back room that you spoke last week have dealt with some injuries?
Well, I tell you what, I think we have a lot of guys back there that can run the football. At any given game, I think one of them can have a great game. And I think we were able to see that in the early part of the season with another guy having a breakout game as well as Gerard Simmons. But he's a freshman that's coming along slow, but
now I can see that he understands the game and understand the offense, and I think he's another guy that's been very, very patient and letting the game come to him. You know, a lot of guys come out of high school, they want to play right away, but he understood some things he had to do. And you know, when you have coaches that can talk to those guys and coach those guys up, when you have great coaches around, I think that helps as well.
And this week, your defense was faced with a tough task. Jarvion Howard enters the game, leading the SWAC in rushing. You guys held him to, I believe, his lowest yardage against an FCS school this year, and you guys had 5 sacks. Can you speak to your front seven's performance this weekend?
Yeah, they played lights out, and you know that's what we know they had to have. We challenged those guys. They had to have that type of performance when you talk about going against a running back like Alcorn has, and he wasn't the only one. We had to prepare for all of them. I guess I remember more of Duffy because I faced Duffy a whole lot, but they got 3 running backs that can run the football. So it's just kind of like us too. Those guys had the chance to face those guys that we have in practice. So they stood up to the challenge, and fortunate enough, we came out on top.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Perry Daniels.
Congratulations, Coach. Great victory. Let's talk about where your offense is. It's been very productive, but I would like to hear where it currently is compared to where you envisioned you would be at this part of the season in the preseason.
Well, I think it's we had some good outings. We had some explosive games, no question about that. But I think it's still a work in progress right now. Still some things we got to fine tune to make it click the way that we envision. The guys are headed on the right street. I can tell you that they're doing some great things. And I think as we continue to grow, we should get better. And that's what we hope for. But we're not quite where we want to be at. But I can tell you what, those guys are making some exciting plays and doing some great things for us.
And earlier this year, you put 86 points on an opponent. Can we expect, if the opportunity presents itself, do you look for those type of results during homecoming week, or will you tone it down a little?
No, we don't. You know, we just try to play our brand of football. And, you know, I know it sounds like a cliche that we try not to look at the scoreboard. We just want to play. Our job is once we get a chance to get out on the field, we got to execute at a high level because we got to always work on Southern University. It's not about the opponent that we're playing. We're going to play some worthy opponents that are very, very good, but it's about us, who we want to be, where we want to get to it, and what's in our way. So we just try to go out and execute at a high level and try not to look at the scoreboard. You know, we do understand I'm a very, very, if I must say so myself, you don't like to give yourself a very high character individual. So we're going to do what's right. That's going to help our football team, and we're just going to play football to try to get better.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Ernest Ricks.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well, Coach. Good to hear from you. Good to speak to you. Coach, 24/7 Sports published an article. The headline was "The Surprise of the SWAC. Southern University is the surprise of the SWAC." On your end, Coach, are you surprised at all by the success you're having this season?
Well, you know, I think every team comes in with the opportunity of wanting to get to the championship. We come in with the opportunity of wanting to go 1-0. That's all we need to go 1-0 each week. Not looking at things ahead. Of course, you're gonna, you know, set goals for yourself. But I learned a long time ago, be careful what you ask for. You know, a couple of years ago, I did pray for some things, and it came true just for what I prayed for. So right now, we just want to go 1-0 each week and just try to get better as we go. As far as a surprise, I think the whole SWAC is a surprise when I look at it, because everyone in this conference at any given day can beat you. I think we have some good teams in this conference right here, and we just try to prepare ourselves each week.
Coach, as you look at your team, as you look at the talent that you now have, what do you see as the ceiling for the Southern University team?
Well, you know, all those things sound good. The comments, you know, we appreciate that, but I think we still got some work to do. We still got, as I took from one of my previous head coaches, we still got to scratch where it itch at. And I think in that department, if we continue to do that, then we can become the team that we want to be at the end.
Coach, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Coach Julia, again, apologies for the misspoke there at the beginning of your session, but thank you so much for your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Texas Southern University. Head coach Clarence McKinney. You see we have Coach there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, first and foremost, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. I do believe you had a bye last week. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had a bye last week.
So if you could recap your bye week for us, Coach, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, spent the bye week trying to get back healthy, as well as getting back to the basics, blocking, tackling, the foundation of offensive schemes and our defensive schemes and our special team schemes, and just trying to improve the fundamentals of the team.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach McKinney. First question, Bill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Bill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Talk a little bit about more in terms of the focus of what you were able to get done or believe you were able to get done during this open week.
Yeah, like I stated in my opening statement, Dr. Cavill, we went back to blocking and tackling and just teaching the fundamentals of it to the foundation of our offense and defensive schemes, as well as our special teams, just working on individual drills and skills to improve as a team.
Excuse me, follow up there, I want to ask you about your next opponent in terms of the Braves. You go on the road and you hear about the need for teams wanting to be balanced between the pass and run. When you talk about the Braves, it seems like they have a intentional bit wanting to run the ball. And a lot of that is because they have some talent back there with Howard and Duffy. Talk a little bit about how you want to not be able to allow them to run the ball as effective as they want.
Yeah, I think first of all, Coach McNair does a great job. He's done a great job throughout the years. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And from a philosophical standpoint, he wants to run the ball, and he has two really, really good running backs to do so. And so it's going to be a tall task for our defense to stop them. We want to try and stop the run and force them to become one-dimensional with passing the ball, and hopefully we can get after the quarterback a little bit and stop the run. But it's going to be a tall task. Those guys are some of the best backs we've faced so far, and our guys have just got to be up for the challenge.
Mr. Roberts, may I have one quick follow-up question?
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
No problem. Thank you. Coach, in terms of offensively, schematically, what are some things that you look forward or would like to get done in this matchup besides putting up those points enough to get the victory?
Yeah, definitely want to, be able to outscore them. But for us, it's about staying on schedule and getting positive yards, converting on third downs, and just staying on schedule. And when we schedule, we're able to find the rhythm and play with some tempo, and we feel like that gives us an opportunity to be successful.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week.
Next question goes to Zach McKinnell.
Zach McKinnell from the Blue Bloods. How you doing, Coach?
Good. How's it going, Zach?
Not too bad. One of the big challenges this weekend, Alcorn State is one of the top 10 teams in the FCS in terms of sacks and getting pressure on the quarterback. What's been the message to your offensive line about what they need to do this weekend against this Alcorn State front seven?
Really just playing together, executing your assignment. We can't change, what Alcorn does. They are great up front. They get after the passer. They play with a lot of effort, a lot of intensity. We just have to match and be sound and working together as one. Those five guys have to work together as one complete unit and keep our quarterback upright.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports.
just wanted to ask you, as you look at the rest of this, your schedule, your team finds itself in a position to where you are well within the mix of making a run for in terms of possibly winning the SWAC's West Division. Is this a conversation that you and your team, maybe during practice or whatever, talk about, given the position that you're in at this point?
Never. We talk about the next game. The next game is the most important game of the season. So our focus is on Alcorn, and whatever happens in the future, is out of our control. We're trying to control what we can control, put our best foot forward versus Alcorn State this weekend. And I know that talk is good for a lot of the fans and people outside of the program, but our focus is the next game.
But even you would admit that this game is crucial and could play a huge role in terms of the rest of the season with respect to possibly winning the division, correct?
Of course. This if we don't win this game, the future doesn't matter. So that's why this game is the most important game.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. Once again, if you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Any final questions for Coach? Coach McKinney, as always, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we'll be joined by Coach Sanders with Jackson State. His availability will begin roughly about 3 to 4 minutes at 11:55 Central. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience. We have Coach there with us. Good morning, Coach.
How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for asking, and thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. We do appreciate it. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing there versus Bethune-Cookman.
Great game versus Bethune-Cookman. First and foremost, I got the utmost respect for Bethune-Cookman and what they've endured throughout the consequences of the storm, and how they've just rallied to stay together. The kids have been city to city, state to state, and they haven't given up. They haven't quit, and they're in need of resources and help. And I wish we could just rally together and kind of give them some type of assistance. But a lot of respect. The coach is doing a wonderful job. Love him. I appreciate him. I wish him the best throughout the entire rest of the season. Onto the game, tremendous output from the offense, especially in the first quarter. We came out on humming. Defensively, they did what they normally do. They had 7 sacks, tied NCAA record with, I think, 3 safeties. We was allowed only 3 of 16 on third downs. Offensively, almost 500 yards total. Quarterback had a pretty decent game touchdown wise, but also career high interceptions of 2. 9 different players caught passes. We came to play on all 3 phases. Special teams contributed dearly, and we got the victory. And it's a great crowd. Surprisingly, I mean, it was a great crowd there in Jacksonville. The city did a phenomenal job. Didn't look empty whatsoever. They did a phenomenal job of being a host city. So my hat's off to everyone at Bethune as well as Jacksonville.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We're now opening up for questions. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
How you doing, Coach?
What's up, boss man? How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I wanted to ask, and you alluded to it in your opening statement, but the fast start by Jackson State's offense has been something that you've been preaching now for the past few weeks in regards to getting out the gate fast. How gratifying was it to see this offense to look like it did opening week?
It was good. We changed some things. By the way we practiced, by the way we attack practiced, 1s versus 2s, 2s versus 1s, giving the scout team a break a little bit so we could get some more competition. We did some phenomenal things in that regard. And we came out a little earlier than we normally come out so the guys could get acclimated to the atmosphere, acclimated to the climate. And they showed up. We've been preaching fast start for the last couple of weeks, and they showed up. They got it done.
Sure thing. Thus far, Campbell out of conference game. They've started off 2-0 in Big South. But what has been your overview of this Campbell team coming into Jackson this weekend?
First and foremost, Coach Mentor, fellow former NFL player, doing a phenomenal job with this program. I think he's been there approximately 10 years or more, but he's been in the coaching for quite some time. I mean, he was a tough, gritty, hard-nosed player that took no junk, and that's the way his team takes the field. They're gritty, tough, hard-nosed. They're very disciplined, very strategic. I like what they're doing offensively. Defensively, they're stout. They got some guys that can get after the passer. They got some high-ranking recruits. One of them, I believe, has an interception. Yeah, third-ranked guy in FCS, 20 tackles on the season, interception. He's doing Rouser, I believe, that's the name, if I'm incorrect. Correct.
Yes, sir.
They're doing some wonderful things, man. I really have a lot of respect for Coach Mentor and what he's accomplished there.
Sure thing. Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, my man.
Next question goes to Zach McKinney.
How you doing, Coach?
How you doing, sir?
Before we get into the game, can you speak quickly about how important it is for you guys and what Mike Mentor and Campbell's doing in terms of the recruiting trail, in terms of really being, you guys both last year had 2 of the highest classes in FCS history. How important is that for the rest of the FCS and for future high school recruits to see that Miles Rouser or Travis Hunter or Shador Sanders can be successful at the FCS level?
Well, it's not just getting those guys, recruiting those guys. It's winning with those guys. It's getting these guys developed so they could go to the next level. It's one thing to get them, but now you got to develop them. You got to win so that you get the eyeballs of the country, because we can say what we want. The team that wins the most in the NFL, the most guys go to the Pro Bowl, normally are the top teams. So you got to win, but you got to develop these guys. But it's wonderful. What he's doing over there is tremendous, and I'm proud of him.
And then the second question comes, Campbell statistically has the biggest offensive line at the FCS level. Could you speak to some of the challenges that presents for you guys and what you've seen on film about that offensive line and what you guys have to do to slow down that rushing attack?
Well, when you hear of a big line, you normally hear about running the football. We're pretty good in running the football as well as throwing the football. I mean, we really have a balanced team. That presents you with some advantages, but also is disadvantages as well when you get ready to throw the darn football, because those big guys got to move. I remember when I first got here in Jackson, I think we had 2 guys with like 800 pounds between the 2. I got them out of here so quick, but they couldn't move. The only time they moved is at the training table. They moved really well in there. So it's not always what you think, but in those regards, to the 2 guys from Campbell, they can get down, they can move.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
My man.
Hey, how's it going, Coach? This is Kenyatta, Dr. Bills. I'm doing well, Dr. Bills, inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Want to talk about the previous game a little bit about how balanced you were offensively, running the ball, and also in terms of throwing the ball. But the fact you were able to do it with such diversity of the number of players, how much is that purposeful about recruiting at a high level, but giving folks that practice extremely hard the opportunity to get game time?
Well, it's very vital because these guys work their butts off and they want to be rewarded at some point in time. All three of our backs that you saw mainly, there were starters at one point this season. A guy might have fumbled that lost his job or didn't have a great practice that lost his job. And it's competitive like that. We had another guy did a phenomenal job that we knew could play this game, but he had to develop a little more before we trust him with the simplicity of carries. Did a phenomenal job, but it was something that we desired to go out there and run the darn football. We get too pass happy at times, and we rely on throwing the ball down the field a little too much. So just to have balance, we needed to run the darn football and get back into being physical up front, and we showed that, and we're capable of doing that.
On to this matchup against Campbell, two quarterbacks that are playing at a high level. Both teams able to run the ball with talent at the running back position and also receivers that are equal on both sides of the ball when you talk about whether Williams, Sanders, Barr, or Wilkerson, Hill, or Daniels. Talk about what you want to see your defense do to their offensive side of the ball that's been effective this year.
Well, I want to say our defense continued to do what they've been doing. Our defense is first in total defense, first in pass defense, fourth in rushing defense, first in scoring defense, first and third down defense. You talking about that defense?
That defense.
Yeah, that's the one that we want to continue being who they are. We don't want them to disappear on this stage called the homecoming. Coach did a phenomenal job with these guys, but what you see in the game is normally what you see at practice, and it's so competitive that they know if they lose contain or get out of their gap, they come in right out of there. And you got to understand, we're playing without a couple guys that started even in the first game. We're still without them. We got a big plus with Shiloh coming back. He gives us the energy and the passion that we want. Hopefully Travis has a good week of practice and he'll be in there as well. We left a couple guys due to disciplinary actions last week. Hopefully they get their stuff straight so they could be back as well. And we could go out there and do what we normally do. Practice, play at a high level and compete and force turnovers.
Thank you, Coach Brown. Look forward to the matchup this week. Good luck.
Thank you, my man.
Next question goes to Wilton Jackson.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
How you doing, sir?
Doing good. I have a question for you. The last couple of weeks, you talked about being another opponent's homecoming. Now it's your homecoming. How do you feel about that?
It's great. I believe this was comprised by Coach Mentor and Ashley. I think they call one another, our AD, Ashley Robinson, and we wanted to afford them an opportunity. This is a huge crowd. I don't know if they've ever played in front of a crowd like this, but Coach Mentor deserves it. I mean, he deserves the opportunity. We didn't pick him just because we thought we could beat them. We didn't pick them because we needed attendance as well. We're going to get 60,000 at the game, and it'll probably be another 15 in the parking lot. So it wasn't that approach that some other schools may have those approaches. We don't function like that, but we know how other schools function. But this is a tremendous opportunity for both teams. We're playing against an opponent that can come in here and win. It's not an opponent that can come in here and lay down. They're not going to do that. They're not taught that way. They're not built that way. They're not coached that way. So this should be a great contest, and I look forward to it.
Absolutely. And one other follow-up. You talked about it in your opening comments in regards to having the quick start on offense. How do you duplicate that success against a good, solid Campbell team this week?
Practice. We practice how we play, and we pray to play how we practice. Practice is everything for us. I know how we're gonna. I know what we were gonna do on fourth downs last week. We were garbage. I think we was 0 for 4 on fourth downs conversions. The only reason I went for them because we was in a situation where it was too close to punt and too far for a darn field goal. So if we got in, the defense was playing excellent, but we were horrible during the week in situational football. Sometimes at the end of the practice, I put us in certain situations just to see how we would react. And we didn't react well in practice, so we didn't react well in the game.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. Let me take a moment to congratulate you on the 60 Minutes interview that aired on yesterday. But I do want to ask you, during that segment, you indicated, and you said frequently in the past, that you were never recruited by an HBCU coming out of high school. However, an interview that was conducted by Rob Calloway last year with Hall of Fame head coach Rudy Hubbard at FAMU, Coach Hubbard described in quite a bit of detail of the steps that he took to recruit you to FAMU, in which he indicated that he didn't necessarily have the budget to bring you there, but you indicated to him that once you made your visit to Florida State, that you would indeed take a moment to go by the campus. Do you recall that experience?
Not whatsoever. I don't want to, let me be careful with this, because Coach Hubbard is a hero to me in the coaching carousel or circuit or pedestal. I don't know what word to put in there. So I want to be very careful with my words. I don't recall that. It may have happened, but I don't recall it. I really don't.
Appreciate it, Coach.
You gotta, that's hard for me to understand, because you got to understand I got drafted in baseball as well by the Kansas City Royals. So for someone to take a shot at me, that was going to be a tough one. You know, that was really going to be a tough one. So I don't recall that. I apologize. I don't recall it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Last question goes to Stephen Gaither.
Coach Rom, how you doing? Stephen Gaither, HBCU Game Day.
How you doing, my man?
Doing well, doing well. Yeah, we talked about, Campbell and the talent that they have, but they have a lot of talent on that defensive line as well. They really can get after the quarterback. You guys have been, I know Coach Sims talked about how your offensive line has improved over the year. What challenges are you seeing from that defensive line, and how are you looking to see how your guys are measuring up against some of the best out there in the FCS?
Well, they can play. They can play the game. I told you, I said before, they mirror their head coach. He was tough and tenacious, and their defensive line is tough and tenacious. They play gaps well. They can get after the quarterback well, and the secondary is sound. So it's a great matchup. I mean, we feel like we have answers, but it's going to be a great matchup. It's not like we're going to go out there and just roll out and put our uniforms on the field and they're going to lay down. They're not going to do that. So we got to go out there and really be who we're supposed to be and perform. Turnovers are going to play an important role, and I feel like special teams are going to play an important role. And fatigue. You're going to see who has depth. You're going to see who doesn't. And fatigue is going to play a role as well. And we haven't had that problem all year. Usually the team that's losing is always tired, and that's ironic how that happens. But fatigue is going to play a major role, and we pray to God that we're the ones in shape.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Coach, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speak to you again next week.
Thank you, and God bless you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. This concludes our football coaches media session for Monday, October 17th. We'll process this Zoom recording and get it out.